Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining me at today's Lunch and Learn. We're going to be talking about stress and the holidays. My name is Catherine Wisniewski, and I'm the Health Educator here at Good Shepherd. What is stress? Stress is our mental, physical, emotional, and behavioral reactions to any perceived demands or threats. It's the wear and tear our minds and bodies experience as we attempt to cope with our continually changing environment. It's the balance between what you have to do and the resources you have to use, like money, time, energy, attention span. Specifically, psychological stress can be best defined as emotional strain or tension in response to a particular event, behavior, place, or person. Take a moment to read this quote to yourself. Many people think of external causes when they are upset. However, recognizing that we create most of our own upsets is an important first step towards coping. Situations that can cause stress are unavoidable. What we can control is how we manage it. While it isn't always easy to find effective ways to manage the daily stressors we face, it's important to try and find healthy ways to cope. The holidays are a time when many people feel internal stress, guiding them to say yes to every invite, push to be the perfect host or guest, interact with family we don't easily get along with, and constantly wear a smile. There can certainly be family and friends pressuring us to do more, but oftentimes the voice in our head is the biggest contributor. This year adds an extra layer of perceived and real stress due to the threat of the coronavirus. I'm sure we've all heard of good stress and bad stress. And unfortunately, this little picture is off-center, but eustress is in the center where it says optimal, and distress is on the right side where it says disorganization. Having a certain amount of stress in one's life motivates us to accomplish goals, but too much stress eventually tips the scales from eustress to distress. Distress is usually what we imagine when we hear the word stressful. During the holidays, we may feel eustress while decorating, baking treats to share, buying presents, and scheduling time to see family and friends. The benefits of eustress include increases energy and motivation, increases your self-confidence, increases drive and productivity, enhances work performance, and creates a feeling of excitement and a sense of purpose and challenge. Both eustress and distress trigger the body's stress response, which causes your body to release hormones such as adrenaline, cortisol, and testosterone. This endocrine system response has been honed over the course of human evolution. Humans have a built-in mechanism that's commonly referred to as the fight or flight response that increases blood pressure, heart rate, and breathing. In fact, blood flow can increase 300 to 400% in order to prepare the legs, brain, and lungs for the added demands of either fighting off a physical threat or running to safety. Conversely, other major body systems such as the digestive tract are shut down short-term as they are considered non-essential during a stressful event, and instead that blood is pumped to the heart. The nature of stress for modern humanity is a range of emotional, non-life endangering threats, like getting stuck in long shopping queues or having a heated political discussion. These types of threats can occur several times a day. Ultimately, our bodies still react inappropriately with these same fight or flight responses. Since these emotional threats happen so often, it's not hard to see how they can create chronic stress and contribute to hypertension, strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, ulcer, and other diseases of civilization. The American Psychological Association found that nearly half of all women in the United States experience heightened stress during the holidays. 41% of women use food and 28% use alcohol to cope. On this slide, on the right-hand side, the sympathetic nervous system. This is responsible for your body's fight or flight response. And you can see it says dilate pupils, inhibits salivation, increases heartbeat. The parasympathetic on the left-hand side is the nervous system that's opposite and sometimes referred to as the rest and digest system. because it conserves energy as it slows the heart rate and increases intestinal and gland activity. When our parasympathetic nervous system is activated, our heart rate slows and breathing calms because we don't need to run, fight, or hide. We digest our food, we make hormones, we repair our muscles. Our body is in a state of relaxation, and this relaxation fosters recovery. The more time we spend in this mode, the healthier we are. There's another way to categorize stress: acute versus chronic. Acute stress is usually for a short amount of time and may be due to overexertion, feeling overwhelmed, spending money outside of your budget, not having time to do your regular healthy activities, and having no alone time during the holidays. Symptoms usually include headaches, back pain, stomach problems, rapid heartbeat, and muscle and body aches. Chronic stress is the more serious type of stress and is very harmful to one's health. This is prolonged stress that exists for weeks, months, or even years. The stress is due to poverty, stressed families or marriages, chronic illnesses, and this year, the threat of COVID. People suffering from this type of stress get used to it as their body adapts and may not even realize that they are under chronic stress. Chronic stress has been linked to digestive disorders, urinary problems, sleep difficulties, high blood pressure, heart disease, depression, and anxiety. Researchers have found that stress affects the body's immune system, which then weakens your response to vaccines and impairs wound healing. Out of these two, which do you think holiday stress falls under? The good thing about holiday stress is that it's expected and you can manage it before anything unfolds. On this slide, we can see some side effects of stress that you may be personally familiar with. The effects range from fidgeting and fatigue to memory lapses and panic attacks. Think about what you experience when you're feeling stressed. What are your red flags? They can be mental, behavioral, or physical. A potential byproduct of stress is weight gain. Many people find themselves to be emotional eaters who react to stress by reaching for something to eat, often high fat, high sugar, and high calorie. During the holidays, we may see this expressed with increased alcohol consumption as well. Some may think that the agitation brought on by stress helps to burn calories, but evidence hints that the opposite is more likely. It's been found that, compared to non-stressed people, those who are stressed burn fewer calories after high-fat meals, and they produce more of the hormone insulin, which enhances fat storage. So, stress may contribute to weight gain and obesity through these biological routes. Some factors that might cause stress this holiday season are coronavirus, feeling lonely, spending too much time with family and friends, overspending money, and not carving out time to do your regular activities like exercise. Take a moment to scan this and see if there's anything you think that's missing from this list. The important point to remember is that you have to find the source of the negative stress. Recognizing the source is not an admission of weakness or an inability to cope. It's a way to identify the problem and plan measures to overcome it. Mindfulness is bringing your attention to the present moment with an element of non-judgment and acceptance. It is noticing when we get caught up in thoughts about the past or the future and returning our attention to the present, the only reality. Unless you lean on effective relaxation and self-love techniques, as well as positive self-talk, all of your worries may trigger overeating or binging, overloading on alcohol, arguing with your loved ones, triggering IBS, neglecting your needs, and getting inadequate sleep. Some proactive and reactive methods to manage holiday stress are practicing mindfulness, just like that previous quote mentioned, bringing yourself to the present reality. Meditating, some people liken this to prayer. Doing breath work, an example is 4 seconds in and 4 seconds out without holding your breath in between. Guided imagery, imagining you're on a beach or someplace that you really like. Repeating a mantra, like today will be a good day. Progressive relaxation. Here I've given examples of an ostrich egg or a melted butter example. If you're unfamiliar, it's when you typically would be alone, close your eyes, and imagine that someone has cracked an ostrich egg on your head, or if that sounds unpleasant, has poured melted warm butter over your head. So as your eyes are closed, you imagine this egg or the butter trickling down your face and your body, and each point that it touches, it relaxes. So to begin, you would imagine it relaxing your forehead and then trickling down, and you'd relax your eyes, and then down to your cheeks and your chin, all the way to your soles of your feet. Moving on, exercising, getting a massage or giving yourself a massage. If you have a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball, giving your massage up against a wall or doing it on the floor with your feet. Eliminating, or more realistically, minimizing caffeine intake. Using aromatherapy. Sticking up for yourself through self-assertion. So not saying or recommending that you get into a fight, but just standing up for your beliefs, especially if you're around family or loved ones. Saying no when your schedule or mind is getting too full. Keeping a diary. Restructuring your priorities. I think that's really important during the holidays. We often get caught up in the rush. Sleeping at least 7 hours a night. Most adults require 7 to 9. Taking a media and news break. Stepping away for a few minutes during a crowded event or heated discussion. Realizing perfection isn't possible and the unexpected will occur. Wearing personal protective equipment during extended close physical contact. I have a friend who's immunocompromised actually, and she lives at home. Her parents are planning to throw a Thanksgiving party. It seems a little bit dismissive, and I've encouraged her to wear a mask. Hopefully she is not pressured to take it off. And lastly, sharing how you feel instead of keeping it all bottled up and figuring out what's causing the anger. Again, getting to the root problem instead of just passing over it and swallowing your feelings for a few days or a week. Lastly, a simple one that I think we often forget about is laughter. Adults only laugh around 25 times a day compared to children who average around 400 laughs a day. Research suggests that positive thinking and laughter can influence health. Positive emotions are associated with a decreased production of the stress hormone cortisol, along with improved immune function and reduced disease risk. Simple laughter may also boost immunity, relieve pain, and even protect against heart disease. Instead of taking life's annoyances to heart, like a late bus or lost luggage, try to see them as amusing stories. Look for humor in difficult situations, but make sure your jokes aren't made at the expense of others. Positive humor is better for the mind, body, and spirit than negative humor. Remember, as stress increases, so too must self-care. These are all examples of self-care, but not an exhaustive list. If there's something that you usually rely on to relieve stress and refocus your mind that's not harmful to you or others, rely on that tested technique. An easy cliche to remember is the airplane oxygen example. Take care of yourself first before assisting others. So a small activity that I have is I'd like everyone to think of an experience that you might come across this holiday season that would cause you distress. This can be figuring out technology that you're not familiar with so you can connect with family who's long distance, or figuring out how to pay for gifts. Once you have that example in your mind, I'd now like you to think of 1 or 2 ways that you can prevent the problem from developing using what we've just gone over. So here I've created a little chart where I put together some experiences that might be common this year. The first one is not enough togetherness. This can be a tough time for many people, especially those who have lost partners or parents, as it reminds them of their loneliness. Loneliness may be extra prominent this year due to COVID, that has affected people who are not expecting to lose a loved one so quickly or who can't visit in person. As the world seems to be gathering with family, those who rely more on friends for support can feel deserted and alone. This year, with many families unable to gather due to COVID, the holidays may be even more lonely, especially if you're used to being surrounded by family in previous years. For those who experience loneliness during the holidays, consider inviting a group of friends to your home who don't have any conflicting family obligations. If everyone you know is with family during the holidays, you might consider volunteering to help those less fortunate than yourself. Many people report these experiences to be extremely fulfilling, and your focus will be on what you have rather than what you lack. Just be sure to always wear a mask and be cautious of close contact, particularly indoors. On this note, the opposite can also be true, spending too much time together. The holidays are a time when extended families gather. While this can be a wonderful thing, even the most close-knit families can overdose on togetherness. And it can be hard to maintain a balance between spending time together and having alone time. Many families also have roles that each member falls into that has more with who the individual used to be rather than who they are today. And this can bring about dread compared to love at these gatherings. With family and friends, it's important to be aware of your limitations. Think back to previous years and try to pinpoint how much togetherness you and your family can take before feeling negative stress. Can you limit the number of parties you attend or throw, or limit the time you spend at each? Can you limit your time with family to a smaller time frame that will still feel special and joyous without draining you? When dealing with difficult relatives, it's okay to set limits on what you are and are not willing to do, including foregoing your visits or limiting them to every other year. Change your expectations for this holiday season, and if you want to play it safe because of COVID, focus on phone calls and video calls to fight loneliness. The next two examples are spending too much money and gaining weight. An overabundance of parties and gift-giving occasions lead many people to eat, drink, and be merry, often in excess. The temptation to overindulge in spending or ingesting rich desserts or alcohol can cause many people the lasting stress of dealing with consequences like debt, weight gain, and memories of embarrassing behavior that can linger long after the season is over. In these more financially difficult times, finding affordable gifts can be stressful in itself, and carrying holiday debt is a tradition that far too many people bring on themselves. To save money, consider doing a family gift exchange like a white elephant, or gracing recipients with your homemade food or art and pair it with a thoughtful note. Lastly, when watching your weight, plan ahead by being aware of your triggers. Do what you can to have some healthy food on hand for each meal, be aware of your intake, and practice mindful eating. Put self-care first and set aside time to maintain your physical activity outdoors or indoors. Make sure you drink lots of water during the holidays. It helps prevent overeating and combats dehydration, a common side effect in the cold months because people aren't hot and aware that they need water. To end, a stress tip from Johns Hopkins. How we interpret life's events is important. Use positive self-talk to position those sometimes negative thoughts into positive ones. If you catch yourself during a negative thought and talk to yourself in a positive way, you'll turn your stress reaction around. Thank you all for participating. If you have any questions or thoughts, you can share them now. Otherwise, you can reach out to our education department. Have a great day.
Does anyone have any questions for Catherine? Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining today's Lunch and Learn. We look forward to seeing you next month. Again, if you have any questions on this topic or anything else, please give us a call at the Education Department, 541-667-3509. Thank you so much, everyone.